U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
You will regret ethical reacting to this? No, I won't. I will never regret ethical reacting to Johnny Harris. He's my fave. Johnny Harris is my problematic fave, okay?
Even the sting he's eating.
Oh, I wasn't even looking.
All right, let's do some. Let's do
everything.
This is
breaking.
This is supposed to be one of the edited channels,
it's all fun stuff.
Within 10 days, you and your family will be.
Look, see, this one's
See
the
if you can
best.
find a better
Fun stuff.
edited one that isn't an hour and 10 minutes.
No. But this one, it tells you when he'll rant for. It'll put up those red cards. So if he goes off topic, it will tell you.
Okay.
In theory.
Now, in Montgomery, our home was bombed twice. Today, we still confront threats through telephone calls and through the mail.
Yeah, subscribe to us. Press the subscribe button for us. Thanks, Hasan, for plugging our subscribe button. Remember, like, if you can't donate to the NGO, just please subscribe. Help us boost our view count. Get us out there. We're still very small, so the best thing you can do is share us. You know, and if you give us $1, you're going to get extended LTEX in your name at the bottom of the screen.
And you'll get founder title when we found the NGO.
Yeah, we don't need it. We do. It's the same people who are here every day. So
yeah,
like to the one new person who's watching, you know.
Yeah, just for the person who is new.
There's blackmail.
That's how it is.
As well
like
as this one-page letter.
Yeah.
The letter.
Because you are black and you are male. I'm sorry. I can't. Every time I
see, that was great. It cut to his chat.
Will make me play
there.
Video.
That was actually a great little. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The trumpet in the
supporters. It's riddled with typos and corrections. And the letter tells King that he should.
I'm going to give him 30 seconds to make a point. If he doesn't make a point, I'm going to skip
Calm
to
down.
the Johnny Harris thing. All right. Good deal. Also, are we doing time penalties for stupid things like saying bourgeois and shit?
Oh, of course, always.
Yep, always. Great.
Quote, look into his heart, because he is, quote, a complete fraud, a great liability to black people. It refers to the tapes that are in this package, which is an audio.
You know what's really funny about this? This is the type the CIA used to do with dudes on payroll.
FBI.
Now, dumbass like debate lord fans do it for free to anyone that they ostensibly see as like a leftist. Doesn't that sound exactly like a concerned chatter? Like literally the dude I just banned half an hour ago. It's like, hey man, I'm really concerned because I feel like you're bad for the left. I'm a leftist and I actually hate Hasan because he is actually terrible for the cause. Verbatim. Obviously, like my impact is nothing in comparison to MLK. I'm not comparing myself in that situation. I'm saying that like nowadays the impact of the people that think are doing like important work for the left is softened. Okay. And also beyond that, the people doing the counter narratives are also on Reddit doing it for free.
Supercut of evidence showing King committing adulterous acts, sexual encounters with his girlfriends and mistresses. The letter calls him a, quote, dissolute, abnormal, moral imbecile, abnormal animal, a beast. What incredible evilness.
Racist.
Satan could not do more. The letter tells King that his end is approaching.
Bigoted fucking losers.
He has just one thing left to do, and he knows what it is. He has 34 days in which to do it. This letter, insinuating that Martin Luther King Jr. should end his own life, was not sent by a disenchanted follower, and it was not typical hate mail. This letter was sent by some of the most powerful men in the United States, the top leaders of the FBI.
And of course, I received numerous threatening letters. You and your family will be killed.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee.
More than half of Americans don't buy the official account that a lone racist gunman was behind the death of Martin Luther King on that day in Memphis in the late 1960s. That number is more like 88% for Black Americans. Those who don't believe it include the ones that were standing next to him when it happened. They include his
chewing my
family.
wall.
An exhaustive congressional investigation found that King's murder was, quote, likely a conspiracy. But there's actually a lot more to the story than who pulled the trigger. And thanks to recently declassified documents, thousands of them that we've been going through, we can now shed a light on the FBI in the 1960s, what they were up to, and what that teaches us about who really killed Martin Luther King. Before we move on, a quick note from our sponsor. Sponsors allow us to do these deep dives where we
We did some investigation.
The other man belonged to America's long oppressed minority and fought this war using the weapons of compelling words and a deep philosophical.
Okay.
Incogni does this for you. 50% off when you sign up using the link. Thank you, Incogni. 1960s.
I love Johnny Harris. I will never regret ethical. He's like, thing is when he's fact finding, it'll be him. A conspiracy.
There was a secret war going on between these two men. One of them wielded the immense opaque power of the United States' Federal Bureau of Investigations. The other man belonged to America's long oppressed minority and fought this war using the weapons of compelling words and a deep philosophical commitment to nonviolent protest.
My feeling is that the vast majority of Negroes in the United States believe in nonviolence.
You guys should do a tag team debate. We're not
Debates are one of the most pointless and useless things when it comes to discussion.
Not what we're trained to do.
I'm more than happy to have a discussion with literally anybody, but I will never debate something.
But I'm not gonna that's if you look at like we've literally had Drew Pavlo and Black Red Guard on.
Yeah, like I'm not interested in
with either one of them, and they are like literally the biggest enemies right now, especially because Drew went like full Israel is great.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Violence is really the only way that we can follow.
That if every Negro in the United States turns against nonviolence, I'm going to stand up as a lone voice and say this is the wrong way.
Hassan's idea of ethical watching a Johnny Harris video is so he can
letting it play so he can eat. Yes, every time.
Yeah.
This is his break.
Yep.
In 1960s America, nonviolence turned out to be an incredibly powerful tool for waging the struggle because it always resulted in the same thing, the inevitable crackdown of excessive violence by law enforcement and counter-protesters. And when that was then covered and shown...
He just doesn't swallow his fucking food when he goes to talk.
To the general population, it was so starkly clear who was right and who was wrong in the situation.
Oh my God. What the
Come on, bro.
Is he saying? Dude,
66%
of the public thought that
you have more than enough to hire competent hackers and reading your competition.
Nobody saw the
swallow
protest.
your food. Holy shit! We should get just a bunch of sound bites just cut together of Hasan saying shit while his mouth is full of food. It wouldn't be that hard.
It was a weird turn. Like it was like I was like, bro, what are you doing? I think it's really just more about him just in opposition to the same people who deny other atrocities, right? So like his default position is against these people, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange. Like I understand being like October 7th was bad, but also seeing what Israel's doing and not being like, look, man, it's a bit much. And that's being generous.
Because like I know
not
we have
being generous and
I know we have viewers who are literally of the thing that they're maybe anti Netanyahu, but they're pro elimination of Hamas. You know, and they like they're not like going to defend Israel in a way that Drew is, you know, but they still believe that Israel should be doing what it's doing. It's like people who want to criticize the Iraq War.
Yeah.
But still think that it was good to take out Saddam, like me.
Yeah. It's the State Department narrative, right? That's we support their right to defend themselves, but it's probably a bit much now. That's like a regular.
The people I'm thinking of are like actually like Israelis.
No, I'm saying that's like a normie position for someone outside of the area. But Drew still hasn't.
We agree with Hasan on like 80% of these issues. Why all the hate? Well, the thing is that where he's wrong, it's incredibly funny, right? And that's why like the reason why I always have good Hasan videos to pull up and react to is because I watch Hasan.
I do not.
Brutality that came after it as like a one-sided. Well, they did see it as a one-sided affair, just not in the way that Johnny Harris is claiming. This is the
I mean,
same
same
liberal
with
version of like
Vosh.
whitewashing the civil rights movement. It's so
Like
funny.
when Vosh does anything international or apologizes for the IRGC. Like I watch Vosh. Like I said, stop. That's why I said, stop pulling up Xanderhall because I think he's just not entertaining. Because I don't watch him.
You put the fucking things on
I
the
know,
list.
no, I did, but I've gotten over him since. That's the thing, is what I'm saying. I was like, I really can't stand him anymore.
I just do not like the arrogance of streamers. Like the attitude just repulses me. It's like people with entitlement just disgust me. Like this idea that you're entitled to something or that you're owed something because of something is insane.
My thing is
It's
just that
silly.
with the size of the platform they have, they could literally pull an expert for any of the things that they choosing to just
literally
Google and look
anything
about themselves. It's not hard.
Yeah, but the entitlement that I'm talking about is more like you see like the booby streamers on Twitch that are like, if you don't give me money, fuck you, you poor.
I prefer the booby streamers in theory to even though I don't watch them, No, yeah,
because they're harmless,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I generally agree.
Anyway,
but like that sort of entitlement is what I'm talking about. Is the only reason I brought them up.
The issue is that none of these people can interview. Have you seen the fucking Hasan with Grimes when she comes on? It's awful.
No, but
like, can we put on some music or something because he just doesn't talk to her and she just sits there while he talks to his chat.
That's awful.
This motherfucker.
What's he doing?
Chewing my molding.
Strategy in terms of changing the hearts and minds of America. Watching young boys and girls and teenagers and adults be beaten, posed, shot, murdered, maimed for simply wanting to exercise their rights as citizens. These images were very powerful.
You've got to keep the white and the black separate.
A visual spectacle that represented what Black Americans knew all too well was how they were treated by the American system. But now it was just public.
What the fuck are they talking about?
King led 40,000 to protest segregated buses for over a year, resulting in the desegregation of public buses in Montgomery, Alabama. He went to the most segregated city in America to lead sit-ins in segregated restaurants and lunch counters. Protesters would peacefully kneel in churches and libraries. They marched on City Hall. And King would always get up with his in segregated restaurants and lunch counters. Protesters would peacefully kneel in churches and libraries. They marched on City Hall. And King would always get up with his powerful, stirring words to remind these protesters about the importance of their core philosophy.
We go back to the buses. Let us be loving enough to turn an enemy into a friend. Nonviolent protests against injustices and indignities experienced.
The idea that you were going to bludgeon your enemies or destroy your enemies into some form of solidarity,
bro,
wouldn't just be permanently.
You see how Johnny Harris just called people to get fucking opinions and interviews, bro? It's so easy.
How hard is it? Yeah.
It was an illusion. It's just an illusion that we constantly make. That's one of the objections about militarism, that it's based on a fantasy.
King and many of these protesters were arrested. From jail, King wrote a letter about why he was leading these demonstrations in Birmingham. August 1963 letter.
Good thing there wasn't any other more radical activists at the time that had radically different approaches to the same subject matter.
Yeah,
even
because
this guy may have hypothetically worked
he'll
with
just
MLK.
ask them questions that he's curious about, which is all you need to do. Hasan will stare at his chat. You know who also could be awesome is like Ethan Klein. You know, if he actually interviewed somebody like this, but he does meme stuff. You know, but like Ethan Klein, if he brought in like Anna, like from Ukraine, to do an interview, it would be awesome. It would be one of the best things that like as like pushed for Ukraine, and then people would be like, you know, I think he supports Azov Battalion, and it's like, okay, everyone does basically, you know, like literally, like wait, I like everyone who's fighting for my country except these individuals over here.
Yeah, at the point that it's like country defense or petty politics, at that point, I don't think they really give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, petty politics is saying it. It's like, you know, what the thing is like with
Well,
factions
in
like that,
wartime, it is petty politics.
yeah, but with factions like that is how you get into the situation that Iraq is in with
Yes.
Sadr and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And that is a concern, but like,
Yeah, I mean, you know, like
yeah, I like it when Azov
MLK, and
defends
the only thing he
Ukrainian
said was
cities.
just don't be.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
exactly my point. But that they always do it with her because she's
Yeah.
like done fundraisers that have benefited them.
Mm. Also, doesn't exist anymore. It's been absorbed into the
Yeah,
third
it's Third Assault Brigade.
Mobile
Third
Assault Brigade, whatever the
yeah,
fuck it's
Third
called.
Assault
Yeah.
Brigade.
Which I think they still have the SS symbol in there, but it's like obscured and deformed.
It's just like 3 lines.
Yeah.
Violent. This is literally the liberal version of what conservatives do when they're like MLK, famous for saying, "I have a dream. Don't yell at white people." This is the liberal version of that. It's just like Republicans will always be like,
But it's
"Yeah,
just
remember
like
when he said I have a dream?"
Imagine this: Ethan Klein interviewing Mukhtar Sadr.
That'd be awesome. Would it even be even funny if he convinces him to dress like Ethan, and
Or
then
Ethan
he
dressed
dresses
like
like him? That's exactly
Ethan,
what I was going to
Ethan
say. Is
has
they
done
swap
that
roles?
with Oliver Tree. Is they dressed
Oh,
up
I know,
like
and this
other,
is.
so.
But what I'm saying is how funny it would be if he was able to successfully talk him into doing the wardrobe swap and sending him his clothes to be like, "Here, hey, wear this." Or even just like getting him over to the US or going over there, something like that. That would be hilarious. That would be so funny.
Black people are equal, which means like shut the fuck up about racism. That's what his dream was. This is the liberal version of that, which is like, yeah, MLK, famous for only saying, "Please don't do any."
I mean, look, Azov has been fighting Russia since 2015. So yeah, a lot of them are probably dead. So that's
Well,
the
a lot
thing.
of them died in the fucking steel plant defense.
Mm.
Who weren't taken prisoner and stuff.
Yeah.
Anything violent. Actually, being violent is just as bad as being the police. Don't look into it any further. That's the only thing I've said, and nothing else.
Come on. Tell me.
It would be so funny.
Come on. Say, this is educational to help you learn the difference between the two.
Demanded by the oppressed, and that now was their time, for they had, quote, waited for more than 340 years for their God-given constitutional rights. This is the only way to change what was the status quo in America, where vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers, hate-filled policemen curse, kick.
There's a much more important part in that letter. I hope he'll get to that. Like a much more important part of that letter. That's crazy. If he doesn't talk about how he has grown disillusioned with the white moderate, I'm going to lose my mind. That's the whole.
Cool. Addressing this, nonviolent direct action would build creative tension in the society. It would dramatize these issues so that they could no longer be ignored. This was his strategy for change and equality for his people, and it was working. Lunch counters, restaurants.
I'm sorry, what?
Look, he stopped eating. He stopped eating.
Yeah, he finished his fucking
dude.
food.
What the?
No, I don't think he finished. I think he stopped eating because he actually heard something and he was interested in instead of just letting it play.
This is literally not as severe, but almost as severe as like conservatives clip shipping MLK. What the?
Bro, it's
you don't
the
know
intro.
MLK like Donald, bro, pipe down. No, he did some deep investigations in this video.
Bro, so it's like, what's the? It's like it might be like Wayne's World or something, where it's like, well, I think the best way to tell a story is to tell the end and then flashback. You know, it's like that's the joke he's going on about how like like the weird unlinear editing and stories. But like he previewed the end. He previewed he gets killed by the FBI, right? Then he goes to the beginning of the movement and he's talking about how MLK was talking about nonviolent action. We need to give him a chance to see if he develops into the next shit. It's not a 10-second video, bro.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and think about this as like a form of protest. Think about the worthless people who glue themselves to the road and throw soup at paintings, right? They're dramatizing it, so people are forced to talk about it. That's the result. So when you say, are they successful? If that's the goal, yes. Now, that goal evolves with Martin Luther King, and hopefully it'll evolve with these soup kids.
Rotated across Birmingham. And as King predicted.
Check my last mod, auto mod too spicy. The price that America must pay for the continued oppression of the black man and other minority groups is the price of its own destruction. They were throwing rocks at Ruby Ridge, Bridge, which was stakes like 10 years before MLK.
I don't know who that is. Oh my god, he's talking for so long. Oh my god, he brought up it. Oh my god, I don't care.
To mention this part, especially because he did show the letter
He's
and
still
that's the reason why you know,
over
he got
the
civil
last
rights.
part.
No shot. Here we go. America's
Oh
Martin
my
Luther King Jr. is a hero now, but that wasn't the case during his lifetime. Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader and an American hero. Almost every American.
Bro, crazy. People didn't support civil rights. Somebody had to actually work. Bro, wait until you hear how they feel about people who just sit in a road. Like, think about how outraged people are by people sitting in a road, and imagine what Martin Luther King was doing. Whoa, crazy. You mean to tell me that he wasn't liked at the time?
Yeah, during, and also remembering what time this was.
The success of the civil rights movement, but black activist persistence. And it was black activists that persisted beyond MLK's methods as well, for the record. Sometimes violent methods. God damn, that's such a silly video to make. This is such like 9 minutes of gobbledygook. Okay,
Holy shit.
9 minutes of just like made up fart
9
sounds,
minutes
basically.
in.
What the? It's like objectively teaching people a falsehood. That's what frustrates me. Okay, because this is
how much of the videos left again?
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
This is unironically ahistorical. You are educating your audience on falsehoods. Yes, I still love him.
King was challenging.
Yeah, by the way, the real reason for his unpopularity wasn't the massive
create enemies.
Either you give the Negro his God-given rights and his freedom, or you face the fact of continual social disruption and social chaos.
His enemies included those that you would imagine, like the Ku Klux Klan, whose leaders allied with local police in the South, and who stated that killing MLK would eliminate all racial problems in the South. You also had pro-segregation groups like the White Citizens Council, who tried to convince the federal government that King's growing movement
because
had
their take was blacks are getting out of their lane, right?
Yeah.
You understand, Hasan, what Johnny Harris is framing here? Oh no, you're eating. Okay, never mind.
No, he's eating and not paying attention because he just hyperfixates on one thing and ignores the rest.
Okay, so this is like
his enemies.
This
also
is like one of them TikTok metas, right? Because they do, you know, you reenact the stunt, right? But when I'm talking about evolving soup throwing tactics, don't walk away. You have to look at the screen.
I'm not. You can't throw a brick; it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? You can't throw a brick. It's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? You can't throw.
Included business owners, real estate developers, landlords, employers.
It did, by the way. It's just funny that, I mean, it did, but it is also very funny that like that was back then a major way to like stamp out any kind of protest, and it still is. It still is.
All of whom benefited from the status quo, discrimination in hiring practices, housing, and mortgages. Then, of course, there was a whole bunch of lawmakers and governors, most of them from the South, almost all of them from the South. But among King's enemies was a Department of Justice agency that was powerful, whose job it was to protect Americans and to enforce the laws of the country.
J. Edgar Hoover served as the agency's director. FBI building houses the Bureau's Washington headquarters.
That's a dramatic way. That's quite a phenomenal way to describe what the FBI does. Yeah, protect Americans from what? Black people?
Oh, Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
the FBI protecting Americans from
the stock footage that he put in. Is he now bitching about the stock footage that Johnny Harris selected?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking
Bro,
about.
he already introduced Hoover as the bad guy.
He missed it because he was eating.
He literally was like, the video opened with them sending him ransom letters and literally him saying, Black Americans, 88% of Black Americans basically believe J. Edgar Hoover killed the guy. That's basically how it opened, bro. Are we watching the same video?
No, he's watching his food.
Oh, and chat.
Yeah.
Ethical.
So remember, it's the 1960s. The Cold War is an obsession with finding communist sympathizers, anyone who is sympathetic to our big enemy, the Soviet Union. And the director of the FBI at the time was named J. Edgar Hoover. He would be the director of the FBI for like decades.
Oh,
so
look. Storytelling coming back around to the foreshadowing at the start. Wow. Oh my God. Crazy. Insane. Crazy. You would have noticed if you weren't eating the whole fucking time.
King's movement grew. Hoover became suspicious that the movement wasn't a grassroots rising up for equality and racial justice, but rather a communist plot to sow division in American society.
Now watch this drive.
So it's 1963. Martin Luther King and his followers are planning this massive march in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, if J. Edgar Hoover wasn't simply mistaken, you know, if he knew that it was just about racial equality, I'm sure he wouldn't have come after Martin Luther King like that. What do you mean? He did genuinely think he was a communist. He thought desegregation is communist nonsense. Why is it so hard for Americans to believe that like people in institutional power,
what are you bitching about?
Control, were just
why? Fuck me.
I'm so
can't
confused why he's mad.
It's because he can't comprehend the concept of video making, because all he does is sit in front of the computer and watch other people's videos. If he actually paid attention, maybe he'd learn something about video production and storytelling, and he'd realize that this is a preface to the actual point, which will come in about 50 seconds, which he'll ignore because he's eating.
And yelling over it. But also, like, I do agree that Johnny Harris should put in here about how disaffected Martin Luther King got at the end.
I do agree. And there's also 20 minutes of the video left of his video. So there's plenty of time for him to bring it up. Right. I was going to skip him. Now YouTube broke. Thanks, YouTube.
This is what happens when you try to cheat.
Watching video, top of the hour secret operations. Okay, well, I already served the top of the hour ad break. So you got. Sale cat, thank you for the fire. Everyone give the subs. Oh.
That's him. Look, he's doing his sub advertisement. You know who's better to subscribe to and give your money to than Hasan? Solidarity Collective.
And those guys.
Either. So, like, technically, they're not wrong when they're like, these guys are infiltrated by the commies. Yeah, they were.
5 days before the march on Washington, Sullivan delivers this report. The report concludes that
I honestly, I also got to say, I got to call out Johnny Harris of the laziness here. There's so many videos of him just looking at Freedom of Information Act requests.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Like, bro, you're just writing a story off a document.
Yeah. That's what I expect from it.
It's just kind of lazy.
It's intro politics. It is lazy. But it's also not information that everybody has.
So, like, the Iran interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Pega says some wild shit, I'm still able to back that up with, like, a source.
Because it's like,
because I sourced
a lot of
declassified intel because of that. Like, I showed the actual reports that where, like, the conspiracy she's talking about, how they're actually founded with evidence from the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you can't back it up, you cut it? Is that how you edit?
The only thing I cut from that one was she said some stuff about Kurdish people.
Oh, okay.
But she's also, like, she has Kurdish family, right?
Tremendous sums of money and time, and issued lots of propaganda to try to infiltrate this movement.
They're dividing the revolution. That type of thing.
Yeah.
There was, quote, no known substantial implementation of communism within King's movement. The movement was about racial inequality in America, a real pressing issue. Communism had nothing to offer and nothing to do with it, says this report that was delivered to Hoover 5 days before the march on Washington. But you can see right here, Hoover didn't like it. You can see right here at the bottom of the memo, this is Hoover's handwriting in this declassified document.
No, that's
Kind
great.
Of an angry moment.
That's a
Communism's
great way
influence
to do
on
it.
King
Being
is
like,
an
look,
infinite.
referencing the actual document like that instead of just
Yeah.
showing the top secret stuff. I like that a little better.
Infinitesimal, as Sullivan's report had concluded. Sullivan says that Hoover was so mad about this that he stopped talking to Sullivan for months. Sullivan had to, quote, change our ways or we would all be out on the streets, give Hoover what he wanted or risk the consequences. And what Hoover wanted was King to be tied to communism so that he would have an excuse.
Like, for the record, just so people understand, there were ideological socialists, Marxists,
30
open
seconds,
communists
Hasan.
in every aspect of the civil rights movement. What they're looking for here is infiltration from the USSR, which they did not find conclusive evidence for. They're commies in the same way that dumb fucks called me a commie. Okay,
You are a commie.
They are,
Bro.
They were, and they
now
definitely
who's
were
being
actually
the one who's like being like too charitable to J. Edgar Hoover?
the same level of socialist.
It's like
that I am.
Trump
So, in fact,
asking fucking like they tried to fucking check Antifa during the protest to ties to being trained in Syria, right? To try and literally what they're looking for was people who fought in Rojava, but they were going to tie them to like Idlibi al-Qaeda terrorists.
Yes.
And they weren't able to.
Just because lack of evidence, because there was none.
Well,
that sort of thing.
Because the people who fought in Rojava aren't really the ones who are going out and like risking and protesting right now. They're like elder millennials.
Yeah.
With families and shit. But like there was one guy, he like did like a counter Jan 6 and was arrested for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Florida. He was crackpot. Like they wouldn't let him in the military because he was a crackpot. Speaking about that, Kyle Rittenhouse, by the way, not only was he told too dumb for the Marines, they literally said that his aptitude was so poor to never apply again. Right? Because he was talking about shit like killing Arabs and stuff.
Oh
and,
my god. Jesus.
He didn't answer the "Do you want to kill Nazis?" and say "I just hate bullies" like Captain America. That's another thing. I think Weekly Weird News reported on Kyle Rittenhouse and
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse was the next story.
Oh, so that's really funny. There's one part in that I'll pull up that's really funny. It's like his lawyer or something, and it kind of changed my outlook on the verdict of the trial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it changed my mind.
theory.
I'm back to he's guilty.
The only difference is some of them got whitewashed post-mortem and are now, in order to be celebrated as a hero, they had to be whitewashed. MLK being one of the more prominent examples. But that doesn't change the reality that like they were still foundationally invested ideologically in socialism.
Used to spy on him.
99% of people, unfortunately, they don't go to their boss and say, "You are a horrible affront to human decency. I will quit this job rather than carry out your directive." They go and they do their job. They say, "Oh yeah, you were right, boss."
Okay.
And soon, the FBI would give him exactly what he wanted.
Talk about a side tangent real quick.
These do not apply again. That is crazy.
Yeah. Well,
so anyway, here you go.
Regarding his online high school diploma, we had to force him to complete the 4 years of credits in just 10 months, which he did using the, quote, Google machine. We invested significant effort to craft the image you witnessed during the trial. We outfitted him in new suits, arranged for his haircut every weekend during the trial, and dedicated over 200 hours to prepare him for direct and cross-examination. We employed the world's leading jury consultant and conducted extensive research through 3 mock trials to identify the ideal jurors and the most effective approach for his testimony. Transforming a middle school dropout who was, quote, angry at the world with a history of violence and an unhealthy obsession with guns and killing into a respectable young man with a desire for higher education and a promising future was no easy feat. It was a meticulously crafted facade, which we sincerely hoped he would grow into. Instead, he squandered a full scholarship to study any subject at any university in the country to become a divisive douchebag and Americans on college campuses.
Yeah, maybe I just forgot, but yeah, the fact that he dropped out of school, he did half a semester of 9th grade before dropping out of education.
That's wild.
Doesn't it change your opinion on it a lot though?
It changed my opinion of him, but it does not change my opinion of what happened.
Oh no, I always had a low opinion of him. That wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I also believed from the start that he went there to kill people.
It makes me inclined to believe that, yes. I still believe that in the videos that we've seen and the actions taken and the fact that he only pulled the trigger at people he intended to, I guess, defend himself from, makes me think that...
No. The law is one thing,
choices.
right? It's still self-defense.
Mm.
But when
yes, I am more inclined to believe that he was there with a rifle intending to kill somebody. Yes. Yes.
It's like people who antagonize people knowing that they're carrying a gun so they can pull the gun to kill somebody.
Yeah.
They called it the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The lead, Martin Luther King.
Today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm. And
that's why the military is woke and soft now.
But also the guy that first attacked him, the short pedo guy that just got out of jail, he had been threatening him the whole time. That's the other thing, is there's video of him going around threatening people the entire time. And then the mob comes down on him. It does not change my opinion that he acted in self-defense, but it definitely does alter my opinion of why he was there and the story behind why he was there, being asked to defend this property. I'm less inclined to believe that now.
Man, that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Determination that the American society shall have no rest until it is.
Why did the black academics that he has on this video saying that like the FBI guy was just following orders? What is happening here? What the fuck is going on? Actually, yeah, dude, the FBI guys were just simply following orders. That's why they were like, oh, I guess if J. Edgar Hoover says so. Like, they weren't personally invested in the project of dismantling any kind of black liberation movement. What the fuck is happening here?
A society of freedom.
You know what? That's actually a fair criticism. That's fair. But again, giving Johnny Harris the benefit of the doubt here and knowing how journalists work, an opposing opinion will come. Should come.
Them, whatever their color.
Well, they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
2 days after the March on Washington, Sullivan begins his repentance process by delivering this memo from W.C. Sullivan, August 30th, 1963. Sullivan, who again just produced this big report saying that King had nothing to do with communism, has changed his tune just a few days later. Turns out that the Communist Party does wield substantial influence over black people in America, and that in light of King's...
The Communist Party USA. Did everybody see that? We see that? Hasan didn't.
Does wield substantial influence over black people in America, and that in light of King's powerful demagogic speech... Oh, and by the way, the demagogic speech he's talking about is this one.
I have a dream.
King now stands head and shoulders over all other black leaders in the country, that we must mark him now as the most dangerous black person in the nation from the standpoint of communism, race, and national security. The plan would be, according to Sullivan, to completely discredit him, to, quote, take him off his pedestal. The thing is, they were kind of stuck. They didn't have a great plan.
He skipped over the fact that they said the American Communist Party, so CPUSA, not the USSR. And he did not point that out. So anybody not looking, only listening, would have missed that. And Hasan, somebody not looking nor listening, missed it.
Plan for putting down this movement. King had achieved the moral high ground. And so they needed to fight morality with morality.
This is so funny. Dude, what the there's like 100 different things that both the FBI and the CIA were engaging in, like COINTELPRO and numerous other...
I said, hang on, and now look what happened.
Their infiltration operations, like, what is happening? No, man, they tried every avenue, including being like, he's a communist. Except the difference is that, like, the difference is that, like, I think Johnny agrees.
Johnny
with
showed
the
that
scourge of communism, so he's not saying.
Bro,
that
he
it
literally,
was
Johnny
like, he's just
Harris
saying, like,
literally
oh, no,
just
don't worry,
said
like,
that's
okay,
what
wasn't
they're
a communist.
doing.
Yeah. He literally is.
Are we watching the same video?
No, we aren't. We are actually watching. He is not.
Don't worry, guys. He wasn't a gross communist. Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover was based on that front. The J. Edgar Hoover FBI lost the moral high ground.
that could undermine him and his moral philosophy.
What do you,
then
bro?
just maybe they could stop
It's
his
the
move.
FBI
So that the
talking
applicant-
internally. Johnny Harris did not write that. He's reading a fucking paper. He's reading a sheet of paper that he printed out from a fucking book, my guy. This is accounts of the fucking evil people. Jesus Christ.
An American community would be, quote, left without a national leader to steer them in the proper direction. So Hoover and his agents cook up some thin evidence that tie.
No, man. No. No, the reason why they did that
Oh my god.
is the same exact reason why liberals do this shit all the time still. He's a hypocrite. They did this to Bernie. People who have a genuine
reason he
distaste for
did
any kind of
what?
radical change, any kind of
Like,
He
are we
doesn't
talking about
know.
Johnny
He's
Harris
literally
doing something
talking
now?
shit.
What did Johnny Harris
He's-
do? Say, quote?
I don't give a shit what he
reverend and wants to advocate for wants to advocate as a reverend for
approval from the Attorney General to spy on King. But what they don't tell the Attorney General is that they're not actually looking for communism. There is no communism here, and they know that. What they're looking for is whatever they can get to take him off his pedestal. Okay, what we are looking at here is a list of every wiretap and bug that was put on Martin Luther King. Side note, whenever I see these big blocks of...
Yeah, bro. FBI was hate watching MLK. Okay, they were pocket
Yes.
watching. They were hate watching my man. They couldn't find anything, so they were like, "Hey, man, you please kill yourself."
Redacted text.
Yeah, Johnny Harris established that
So
in the
juicy
beginning
that
of the
they
video.
He sure did.
They were already looking at like the sins of the FBI, and there was something even more secret that we'll never see. Too bad. We're looking at wiretaps, which is basically the ability to listen in on
Johnny
phone
Harris just said
conversations.
the sins of the FBI.
Mm. Yep. And guess what Hasan didn't hear?
A variety of locations. There's his home in Georgia, and then there's a couple hotels in California. There's a home in New York City, and then there's a bunch of microphones. Microphone or bug is just when the FBI trespasses into someone's space and puts a microphone that then records everything that happens in that space. So you see them doing this at the Willard Hotel here in Washington, D.C., hotels in California and Hawaii, hotels in New York City. So the main tactic here was to follow MLK as he traveled around the country and to bug and tap his hotel and telephone and spy on everything he said, every person he talked to. Here in the middle of all of these memos, you have this handwritten note to the director saying, obviously these are
And for
particularly
like other
delicate
countries, this is
surveillances.
just Tuesday for their intelligence.
Yeah, yeah. And this in America, it's like a big deal. They're like, "What the fuck is happening?" And they probably, in all legitimacy, actually fucking pulled the trigger. Realistically, and it's a massive deal, and it still technically hasn't come out or been admitted to. And other countries, this is just what happens. Look at Russia. They don't even wiretap; they just kill. North Korea. China do it all the time. I guarantee there's even like less stereotypical countries. Indonesia probably does it all the time. I know for a fact that they arrest people and put them to death for marijuana all the time. Probably South Africa probably does this. They probably take people out all the time. European countries too, probably. I mean, look at their fucking problem issues that they have with people. People die in Europe all the time from mysterious cardiac arrest and
Asylum
other
seekers are the ones that die here from drowning.
Yeah. Yeah, there's heaps of shit in heaps of countries that this happens. And the only difference? Transparency. Or the ability to obtain transparency.
No, like, Israel will never admit any of this type of stuff.
Like, imagine how many people Mossad has killed at the behest of the Israeli government. Or even because they just wanted to.
We should be very cautious in terms of non-FBI people who may from time to time necessarily be involved in some aspect of installation. Like, we got to really keep this under wraps because it is totally...
Generally confused what the hell y'all's problem with Johnny Boy is. What exactly is he saying that's wrong? What are you talking about? Were you not here for the past like half an hour?
Come on, let's hear it. What's wrong?
So his chat is clearly listening. He is not.
He literally just he said objectively wrong things. Like, I'm not even talking about like
no,
liberalism,
he was
law,
reading.
whatever. Like
he was
said
quoting
objectively wrong things. Like, people actually decided
that black people had the moral high ground during the civil rights movement. Like, that's not
Bro,
correct at all. That is ahistorical.
That was a quote from a
At the time of his
book.
death, he had a 66% disapproval rating. It's just a complete falsehood. The civil rights movement did not find success because white people were like, "Oh man, I can't believe how
he
much
used
like,
a
these cops are
source
beating the shit out of
that's
black."
in the conspiracy for killing the guy. Is his fucking issue.
This might be his worst
He said
video.
untrue shit. No shit. Oh
This
my god,
might
it's
be,
almost like these people fucking killed him.
this
Crazy.
might be
Now
his
let's
worst
do
video.
fucking OJ next. And read If I Did It, you know, and talk and quote that.
I think this is his worst video.
You say that every time.
No, this is actually probably his worst video. Like the fact that he's missing something so fucking obvious and spelt out for him that the literal quotes are on the screen.
Mhm.
All you have to do is look up.
I mean, Johnny Harris also highlighted it too, you know?
Yes. Made it easy for him. Still missed it.
People, here's some sympathy.
Ethical.
Now we can do some legislation. That's wrong. And a part of why that's so wrong is, I think, the particularly egregious offense that he committed, which was clip chimping MLK. He used his letter from Birmingham jail, where Martin Luther King. No chatter is like, please
anything
don't.
you have to say.
Not okay what we're doing. In short, what they created was, quote, the most complete surveillance imaginable. Unsurprisingly, even after all of this spying, they didn't find communism. There was no communism here. What they did find is exactly what they needed to, quote, take him off his pedestal. They found sex tapes. These FBI documents that were declassified a few years ago contain the summaries of what the FBI agents say that they heard on these tapes. We don't have the actual tapes yet. And they paint a picture of Dr. King as a womanizer with girlfriends and prostitutes in Las Vegas, New York, Washington, D.C. These memos say that King would get excessively drunk and sleep with women while using, quote, the vilest language imaginable, excessive consumption of alcohol, which served only as a backdrop to the acts of degeneracy and depravity, many of which committed in a communal atmosphere. I mean, it's a lot of graphic descriptions, some of which don't shine a good light on Dr.
Bro,
King.
coming
Running
from J.
naked,
Edgar
drunk, white
Hoover.
prostitutes
Yeah.
up and down the hall.
Yeah, my
Known
king,
pervert.
dude. What do you mean? Oh my God. Oh, he's a milkman. Like, shut the fuck up. That's the king. Okay, respect. He was laying down the law, dude. Okay, he's putting the hammer down. Don't even come at him. You come at the king, you best not miss.
Kind of deviance
MLK
that would
sex
allow
tapes should
them
be
to
public domain.
stigmatize the
Well,
broader
they're audio
black
tapes
community.
too as well, but they will be.
Eventually.
To undermine King's leadership, put his life in turmoil,
We'll
make
get
him
him.
unable to do this job, and it diminished his standing among the broader public.
This surveillance, which again was supposed to be about communism connections, was used to gather a whole swath of ammunition for this war, where Hoover and Sullivan were
Have I said my opinion on statues on stream before? I'm pretty sure I have. Refer to that. There's a reason that I have that
You
opinion.
ever see a commie drink water?
trying to knock King off of his moral pedestal, to undermine the morality that made King's movement so powerful and unstoppable.
It's so funny. It's just like irrelevant nonsense. Oh, you're making a valid point about segregation? Well, guess what? We think you've had sex with white prostitutes. It's like, bro, that is not the point here. Also, technically, he wants to eviscerate miscegenation. I mean, not eviscerate miscegenation, sorry. Eviscerate anti-miscegenation laws. So, like, he's literally putting into practice what he is advocating for. It's like dumb motherfuckers being like, Hasan, you're a fake commie. You're a fake commie. After all, you have a business. And it's like, yeah, it's a cooperative dumb. I'm putting into practice what I preach. Yeah, Hasan, you went to a legal brothel at the age of 19. Yeah, I did. I'm an advocate for sex work.
But wait, really quick, we can't really move on before
such
we
a weird
talk about how to think about this evidence. And we struggle.
Guys are so weird about prostitutes and paying for sex and being weird about it. Like, just, you paid for it, get over it. Big deal. Right? If you're such an advocate, you wouldn't be coping with that statement. Your response to,
He dated
yeah, but you were
a porn
19.
star, bro. He's fine with sex work.
No, I
It's
know,
just
but what I'm
like-
saying,
it's just like,
what I'm-
okay, like why do we need to hear about this?
But like, it's such a weird response. It's like, yeah, I did. Move on. Like, you don't need the exposition there. You don't.
I
need
didn't need
anything
to
else.
know
Like,
that either. I like
no,
literally
like,
could care
who gives a
less.
shit? So fucking weird.
With this a lot. We talked to
All I'm saying is,
Oh my
Have you-
god.
What are you doing, bro?
Wokeism
That was
defeated.
comedy
Stop.
gold you were skipping.
Here it is. That's it.
We
What I'm
both
saying
said,
is,
"Oh my god,"
have
and
you
you
seen
instantly
Sydney Sweeney?
skipped. Come
Have
on,
you seen
Jack.
Sydney-
Yeah, that's why I skipped. I didn't
Yeah,
give a
but it's
shit.
gonna be funnier. It's gonna be funnier if it pisses us off.
Struggle with this a lot. We talked
Content,
All I'm
bro.
saying is, have you seen Sydney Sweeney? Have you seen Sydney Sweeney?
That's all
There it is.
Oh,
That's it.
God, it
That's
was-
it.
fuck
It's
is
like
Sydney
it's
Sweeney?
like
It would've
crazy.
been
What do you
way
mean?
funnier
Like, let's
if we
say
didn't have to
Sydney
go
Sweeney
back
type
for that.
situation, whatever the Sydney Sweeney
It's
is
so
of like
funny, 'cause
the
who the fuck
60s.
is
Like, what are you
Sydney
gonna do?
Sweeney?
You're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, she's the
No
woman
sex
with
for
the
me,
tits,
please.
right? She's ended wokeness
Okay.
because she has tits.
Am I touching too much grass? Should I know this?
Yes, this is a like internal like end wokeism type narrative, you know?
All right.
No, that's not happening. Wokeism defeated.
a lot of different people
See,
with different
that's
views
the
on how
reference.
they interpret this. And here's my take. Okay, these documents.
Sorry, no pussy for
It's-
me,
we're,
please. I'm
we're
a
making
socialist.
fun of people who think that tits
outta
mean
here.
wokeness is
In-
over. Like, you know, this new
okay.
game that's coming out that's like basically Nier Automata looking.
No.
It's got the jiggle physics in it. What is
Okay,
it called?
great.
It's like Soul Blade or something. Chat, tell me what the game is called. I'll show it to Jack.
Is it Hellblade?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Maybe. Chat, let me know. Is
I
it
just downloaded
Hellblade?
the first one if it is.
Yeah, no. It's no Hellblade. That's what I was about to say. Hellblade just came out, but that one is like that one they're outraged by because the girl's ugly in it and gets dirty. So they
okay.
think that's woke.
I mean, from what I've been told about that game, it's a horror thriller game with voices in your head that you
Yeah,
should play
yeah.
with
Stellar Blade. Thank you. Stellar Blade is the game. Now I'll pull that up for you in just a second.
Most
First, I need to
stories
pull
that
up
I do.
Sydney Sweeney's tits.
Titties. Yeah.
Would be rock solid. This is
okay.
FBI.
I think I remember saying Cutie said that she doesn't own a part of Fear End. Is that true? No, that is objectively not true. How come?
Yeah, I just downloaded it because my friend was like, "You need to play it if you've got really."
Oh,
good
I'd like to
headphones."
see it played.
Well, guess what? I have a capture card now, so we can stream it, and you guys can watch me shit
Okay.
my pants on fucking stream. Yay!
So this isn't the original post, but this is a satire of the post, right? So this is the
Okay.
picture they were throwing around of her, and it said, "Would these boobs save you from wokeness? Go woke, go broke." Right? I don't think this is the original post because there's not enough views on it, but this is what it was. These tits right here.
Sure.
Okay, and then Stellar Blade, real quick. Let me show you the Stellar Blade. This specifically, it's been one account who's been a coomer over it, which you can't convince me isn't viral marketing.
It probably is.
Also, so like the demo is out. You can actually play the demo for this, but the thing is that if you take off the armor and get her naked, then you get lower defense,
If that makes sense,
but you can like get a higher attack or something.
because you're lighter and you can swing it faster. That makes sense.
Okay.
Game sense. Hurry up.
Here we go. Game of the year material. This person says.
If that's what makes game of the year, then I don't know what a good game is.
Yeah, a lot of this is like
Awesome, if you don't own
slutty
it.
fan art. You know how Nier Automata was.
Yeah. Like I think I played like 150 hours of Horizon Zero Dawn before I was looking, because I was like, oh, what else has this game got? And I was looking at the graphics, and I noticed their walk cycle was fucking fantastic. I'm like, they fucking thought about this.
Yeah, that's what. But
not
just
want to?
because they don't like her face because she's ginger, I guess.
Sure, I guess that's what it is. She's such a good character, though. It's so well written. It's great.
No, they do. What the fuck are you talking about? She must have misspoke. You listened to what you misunderstood what the fuck she was saying. She said she didn't sign
shut
the legal
up,
papers. Yeah, I mean,
Hasan.
but she still owns it, dude. That's
And usually these analysts are reporting dispassionate, objective evidence that we can use. The problem here is that I know too much about the context surrounding how this intelligence was gathered and the motive for doing so. Future investigations would clearly state that the FBI was riddled with racism and that it was a bunch of white agents all jockeying for the approval of their leader, J. Edgar Hoover, a man who we know now in black and white we have seen was willing to ignore analysis and intelligence that contradicted.
Oh, look, Hasan's realizing that he's just made 45 minutes of him being a fucking moron.
His own personal views.
Is he?
That's crazy, man. I
Look,
mean, that's
okay.
crazy.
Now
I can't believe he
full,
did that.
Do not
That's
cut
crazy
to my
because he's a
stream.
good guy.
Full naked videos.
Oh my god, he's doubling down.
Jiggle in because I want just the.
Oh my
the
god,
people
he's doubling down.
Soying over the jiggle physics.
I
There
don't
we
give a
go.
shit about
Found one.
animated
Okay.
ass.
Okay, you ready? This is what people are so
he's
up in
doubling
arms
down.
about on how wokeness is dead. Ready? This is how
Okay.
wokeness dies.
Okay,
Wokeness is over, right?
sure. How does the game play?
It's like a sword slashy, dodge timing,
Dark Souls.
Bayonetta type, Dark Souls type,
okay.
that type of thing.
Mm,
Not so much
okay.
like hard like Dark Souls. I don't think it's more like
It's more of like a hack and slash.
yeah, it's more slashy and gamey like Bayonetta
Okay.
was, where it's like timing
Yeah, okay.
and type
It's
of
like
stuff.
a Persona.
It's I don't know. It looks fine.
Otherwise,
It's jiggling.
yo, J. Edgar, good guy overall. Definitely consistent.
Dude, he's literally doubling down on being wrong, even though Johnny Harris literally just explained what he had just explained with all the quotes. This is incredible.
A moral guy. What do you mean, man? He's not a good person. He's a racist. It is known that he is a racist. This is not contradictory to his own personal opinion. He was like, I'm a racist. I think this MLK guy is uppity, and I want to make sure he kills himself because I'm scared of desegregation. That's it. That's literally the whole point behind the FBI's activities at the time. It's not just J. Edgar Hoover, it's an entire institution designed around this principle. What the fuck? It is literally the most consistent position for the FBI. The whole like, well, is he a communist? Is he not a communist? That's all seasoning, okay? Also, it comes with this like weird secondary proposition from Johnny Boy that like, if he was really a communist, like if he was like collaborating,
No,
with,
it doesn't.
outspoken communists, that somehow.
I am skipping.
None
every
of this
point.
happened, bro.
No.
What video are you watching?
Perceived hypocrisy as a greater evil more than being racist is. Yeah.
God, he's so
Agreeing
dumb.
with him meant being out on the streets. The agency would produce what he wanted to hear, or there would be consequences. So when I read these reports from agents who go out with the mandate to collect evidence that will knock Martin Luther King off of his pedestal, I have kind of a hard time trusting.
Bro, this dude literally is like, well, I read
Let him
through
talk, you
the documents,
fucking idiot.
okay, at the International Criminal Court. And a lot of these guys, these prison guards, they're just prison guards. They think that they are jailing bad people, right? And they were saying that they are just following orders. So should they be executed? It says it right here. They're just following orders.
Were base level Nazi soldiers persecuted at the ICC?
I'm not sure if it was the ICC yet. I think they made a court itself to specifically hang Nazis. And the guy who hung the Nazis was all regular Kyle Rittenhouse, let me tell you.
Because like I know that the Nuremberg trials were for like the big guys, but did they didn't get like regular rank soldiers? That was like a different one.
Oh no, they did. It was all in there.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was clarifying on because I wasn't sure.
I don't know. I mean, it's just like it seems like the guys didn't really, seems like the guys they didn't really have their heart in it, that they were just following orders. I'm reading, the papers. It says right here, Nuremberg trials. Okay, I'm reading quotes here. And it seems like they were just brought along by this one singular bad guy by the name of Adolf Hitler. There's some interdepartment drama going on. CIA guys talking mad shit about FBI. Not really. He's not even. If he was a real CIA guy, this is how you know he's not CIA. If he was a real CIA guy, he'd be ripping the FBI a new asshole.
How they interpret it, especially when I'm not looking at the primary source.
Bro, he opened the video saying that they killed him.
It really is incredible. I have no more words.
Seriously, if Johnny Harris made a video about Adolf Hitler instead of quoting Mein Kampf.
And Hasan would start being like, wow, Johnny Hitler really likes Johnny Hitler. Johnny Harris really likes
No, that's what he would say. That's what he would say is Johnny Hitler.
You should quit me saying that. I said it without hesitation.
Of audio recordings. These aren't
I miss
transcripts.
Johnny
These are
Jizzo.
summaries. They're not visual. They're audio. And to me, they're tainted.
Dude, that's crazy. He's like, bro, I need to see his stroke game myself. In order to make a correct assessment, I need to see the tapes. Investigate the tapes. I need to know the MLK stroke game. Tainted with racist bias. We need the video. We need the video proof, okay? That way we can know if they were racistly interpreting it or not.
No, I want to hear the tapes to find out how accurate those reports actually were and how much was fabricated. You know, journalistic curiosity.
With deep racist bias. As someone who seeks truth and looks for evidence,
well,
that's a problem.
He just
now,
said it.
2027.
He just said it. He just said that they had
well,
deep
Hasan
racial
acknowledged
bias.
Johnny Harris.
Crazy.
All of the tapes will be released. And at that point, we will have the opportunity to listen to those tapes and assess whether or not they change in any way our legacy and our view of Martin Luther King as an individual.
No,
but for now,
bro, what difference does it make if he is laying absolute pipe or not? What
Oh my god, why are you so hung up on this fucking point? Look, he plays. Let's see how long he plays the video for before stopping.
It seems like he didn't have the both answer. Yeah, he doubled it and gave it to the next person.
this is not conclusive evidence for me of anything other than the abuse of power at the FBI.
What's wrong with nonviolent protest, though? Did I say there was something wrong with it? What the? That's what you're. That's what you're.
Hasan is the one saying
I have.
MLK did it, and Johnny Harris is the one saying there's not enough evidence to accuse him of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you're the one who's J. Edgar Hoover here, Hasan.
Said
Hassan
you
Ben
just chose the
Shapiro
one thing I haven't
over
said.
here. Hassan's about to go work for the Daily Wire.
All right. Are we watching the last 20 minutes, or are we over him not comprehending the video because he wasn't watching?
If you're just a little
Yeah.
baby who can't handle it anymore.
I'm gonna skip a little bit. This is a long part. Let's see. Let's go here.
Anti-Vietnam worship, but like we kind of like that. So why don't you worry about the civil rights stuff?
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen.
Is he just playing his speech now? Is this not Johnny Harris anymore?
Maybe. You tell me, baby boy.
Yep. It wasn't even Johnny Harris's video. He was just playing his speech.
He didn't explain shit.
The FBI launched an investigation, which led them to this man, James Earl Ray, a 40-year-old fugitive who had escaped from a Missouri prison in a bread truck a year earlier. Ray had rented a room across the street from King's Motel earlier that day. Ray allegedly aimed and shot his rifle from this bathroom window. Shortly after the shooting, Ray fled to Canada, then England, then Portugal, and back to England. His end goal was a country in southern Africa called Rhodesia, which is modern-day Zimbabwe. But he was apprehended at the airport.
Of course it was.
That's
so funny.
He said that Ray was carrying 2 Canadian passports and a fully loaded pistol when he landed at London from Lisbon.
He immediately pleaded guilty.
That's crazy. Back then, you could just have a fully loaded pistol on your hip on an airplane, you know? Back when America truly was free. That's what happens with DEI initiatives, folks. You know, DEI, like letting black people drink from the same water fountain as white people. And now you can't even bring a pistol. Now a white man can't even bring a goddamn pistol on board with on the plane with him. Crazy.
Presumably to avoid the risk of the electric chair. And then he was sentenced to 99 years in prison. 3 days later, Ray went back on it, saying that actually, no, he didn't kill MLK, claiming that he was set up, that he was a part of a larger conspiracy to kill King. Those close to King didn't accept the official explanation that Ray was the lone gunman who did this. Perhaps they were all too familiar with the horrifying tactics used by the United States government to spy on, intimidate, discredit, and threaten Martin Luther King. Over the course...
Gee, I wonder how they escaped.
When was the Black Wall Street massacre? Was that the 50s or 60s? Before or after MLK's death?
It was before.
It was before?
Yeah.
Okay. Tuskegee? That was before too? That was 50s as
Tulsa
well, right?
Race Massacre was 1921.
21. Jesus Christ. That okay, fucking hell. And the Tuskegee?
That's
When was that?
That's like CSA, so CSA.
Okay, yeah. So Tulsa was
Start date 1932, end date 1972.
Okay. So they definitely weren't aware of that at the time, but that was going on during this time as well. Okay.
Convict got a hold of 2 Canadian passports all on his lonesome with zero help from the feds. Dude, how dare you? This guy was a big time Rhodesia fan. Okay. He knew all about Rhodesia and how to get there. After all, I mean, he was quite industrious, right? He was able to escape on a bread truck.
Course of reporting this story, we opened up a lot of rabbit holes when it came to the conspiracy theories surrounding this assassination. We wanted to really confront them and try to understand what evidence exists and what evidence doesn't, and what is valid and what's not. The lack of faith in the FBI and scrutiny into this case has revealed some pretty significant holes in the explanation, some unexplained things, fishy circumstances, destroyed evidence, timelines that don't add up, witnesses that contradict the real story. A lot of things that make it hard to accept that a 40-year-old
Doesn't matter. Witnesses don't matter.
In one shot and escape through 3 countries. But the investigations done since then have concluded that it was Ray who fired the shot. This includes the House Select Committee, a congressional investigation.
Don't worry, guys. The FBI investigated itself and found that, no, this guy wasn't connected. I mean, this is like a genuinely interesting story. And the fact that he spent like only the last 6 minutes or so talking about the actual conspiracies behind the assassination while using like very little to even, like, he's not even doing a good job of like disparaging the conspiracy. He's like, oh yeah, well, they found that there was no wrongdoing. Okay.
He hasn't even gotten into the conspiracy, you fucking moron. Oh my God. This is driving me insane.
That concluded that Ray did it, though they say it was likely a conspiracy, that there were other people involved, funders, though they say it wasn't the government. The King family continued to sue and search for answers. Then in the 90s, this man comes forward and says that he was a part of it, that he was given money to hire someone to kill King. The King family took him to court under a wrongful death suit. It was a civil case, so there wasn't any like jail time. The jury concluded that the assassination was a conspiracy that included others, including government agencies. But to be clear, this lawsuit from the 90s with this guy named Jowers was not...
The Church of Latter-day Saints is not going to be happy with what I did to their Jesus picture.
A legitimate piece of proof for
what?
this. It didn't include a real defense.
Nothing.
And it didn't include any consequences. There was a symbolic $100 payment to the King family. But what it did is shine a light again on the fact that a lot of people aren't satisfied with the official story of who killed Martin Luther King. The fact is that even after all of these lawsuits and investigations and mock trial that was like there is no piece of evidence that ties
Hasan clicking
the
that?
FBI or any other government agency to the assassination of Martin Luther King. And I'm saying that as somebody who feels like it wouldn't actually be outlandish that the FBI did this. After all, the next year they showed...
Wait, what do you mean? Why wouldn't they? Why is it not outlandish? I thought you said J. Edgar Hoover just kind of like guided everybody along, played him like a fiddle to do racism when they were personally like, oh, we hate doing racism at the FBI.
Oh my God.
No, they didn't.
Oh my God.
They were willing to assassinate black men who were subversive in their eyes.
Hang on. 1 second. What they said, Hasan, is that one guy said that they didn't find communist ties. That's what, there was nothing about we didn't do racism, we're anti-racism. There was none of that in there. And the FBI did kill this guy, it's known, who's on screen right now. So Johnny Harris is saying, here's why I think the FBI killed him. Because they killed this guy. Which is my take too.
Well, you know, he might have been a communist though, so...
We know that there were threats on King's life that they did not share with him. We know that they didn't insist on protecting him the way that it is their obligation to do so. One of the only reasons to have an organization like that is to protect people who are subject to secretive threats and conspiratorial action. They didn't.
Yeah, no, totally. The FBI famously very good at dealing with death threats. They don't just like give you a phone call and are like, hey, you have death threats, by the way, if at all. And then maybe in a hypothetical scenario, you're like, what do you mean? Okay, what are you going to do about it? And they're like, oh, nothing. Yeah, that's the goal of the FBI for sure, is to protect American citizens from death threats.
You should buy a gun, Hasan.
He has one.
Ah, good. Great.
I'm pretty sure he's set
Disregard. You shouldn't worry then.
Do that.
After looking into all of this, really grappling with it, understanding the reality of the FBI at this time, I think the real reason why people think that the government killed Martin Luther King is because, in a sense, they did. What I've shown you today, all of these FBI transcripts and evidence from the 60s, is rock solid proof of one thing. J. Edgar Hoover and his bureau of powerful, unelected men wore their badges of justice and then used their power to threaten the life of Martin Luther King. They did so the moment they saw a black man getting
just even
too powerful.
like even indirectly with the memetics, like how they push stuff, right?
Yes.
Like the FBI is pushing these narratives and putting out propaganda themselves on anti-communist stuff. Like memetically, they could have driven like a fringe guy to kill Martin Luther King that came straight from stuff that the FBI was backing and funding and pushing. Like, it's all connected memetically. But I think they literally killed him.
They relied on
Yeah.
to keep themselves on top, and they couldn't stand it. Hoover and his FBI used the sacred levers of justice given to him by the American people to carry out a personal racist vendetta against King and his movement. A movement that used morality and words and ideas and nonviolence.
You how he said Hoover and his FBI. As in the entire FBI were racist.
To Hoover, all he could see in this was a black man that was threatening his power.
You know, I would say that the FBI certainly did, help to set the atmosphere around King, that he was someone who was dangerous and who was trying to destroy the country, to help solidify the way public opinion began to turn against him.
Not only did that congressional report find that racism was rife at the FBI, but they also note that the FBI's campaign against Martin Luther King
Hasan, did you hear that?
No, he didn't. He's
end after he died. When Congress was discussing whether or not to make MLK's birthday a national holiday, the FBI sent people over to lobby the Congress to vote against it.
Yeah. American liberals were like super on board with MLK's message, famously. Please don't look into it. Guys.
This happened.
Please don't look into it, okay? Just take my word for it. Everyone in America was like, man, this MLK guy, I didn't want to listen to him at first, but then I saw like a bunch of black people being portrayed as burning
Where are you
cities
getting
down
this from?
on television.
Where are you projecting this
and I
from?
definitely was on board.
Nothing was said like this.
Trust me. That's what the American liberals were saying at that point.
No,
and luckily, they failed. Today, here in our nation's capital,
this
between
happened.
Thomas Jefferson,
It's a well-documented
Theodore
thing
Roosevelt,
that the FBI did that through the Congress.
and Abraham Lincoln, King has been resurrected in granite, 30 feet tall, a stone of hope that is breaking through a mountain of despair. And yet,
but he had orgies.
Right down the road, not too far away, is the headquarters of the FBI, a building named after J. Edgar Hoover, commemorating a man who professionalized the Bureau during the Cold War, who fought
what about the Hoover Dam?
Against organized crime,
I think that's
but
a
who
bit
was
more
also
egregious.
the architect of racist corruption and governmental.
Is it different one?
Yeah, the president at the time.
Overreach, not just against King, but also against many American people. He implemented widespread domestic spying.
Because why wouldn't there be another person with the name of a vacuum cleaner as their last name?
I was about
in
to
American
say,
politics?
it might be the vacuum cleaner, guys.
Including on politicians and presidents. He had dirt on them. the power to blackmail, the power to control. He
was
hijacked
built
the most
by
powerful tools of
Roosevelt.
justice to attack the movement that.
No, he didn't. He did not hijack the most. Bro, what the? If he hijacked it, why is he on the building as a name? Why is his name on the building if he hijacked it?
Okay, I'm done with Hasan. Fuck this guy. Okay, now, everybody, further torture. Second Thought gets to tell us about why TikTok's being banned.
Because it makes us gay.
Very gay.
Hey everyone! Before we start the video, I need to make a humble request. I don't have any sponsors left because
I don't care.
Hey, you know who doesn't have sponsors and is totally better than this guy? Just
And
give us $1
completely
and your
demonetized.
name will be at the bottom of the screen, and you'll help us found our NGO that's supposed to help journalism throughout the world in conflict zones.
Episode.
By the way, this dude always puts something that gets us claimed in his fucking videos. Like, he's so bad about like doing making his videos like safe for other creators.
Oh, you didn't.
Chunk, say the line. You want Trunk to tell you more?
Yeah, Chunk.
We might have people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker because we just need our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
Thanks, Chunk.
Today we're talking about TikTok. The app that started out as people doing funny dances and evolved into one of the most important news sources in history. The app where you can get.
Because I'm already following you.
Fucking hell. One of the most important news sources in history. No.
The Xing Ping Shuffle is here to say.
Lost down a rabbit hole of Bohr running around set to Nightcore, then get a 60-second masterclass in how the CIA works from a guy who doesn't say a single word. Why does the US government want to ban TikTok so badly?
Oh my god.
Let's find out.
Oh my god.
This is not
No
an attempt
fucking
to
way.
ban TikTok. It's
No,
an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner.
A winner.
A winner.
A winner.
You just know she practiced that in the mirror and was like,
Yeah, we said
I
the
like
same
this-
thing. You're
I
a
like
bit
this
late.
video more than any other videos he's done because the lighting is normal.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?